Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Chris Tobin, representative of the Darug people, to offer the traditional welcome to country. Mr. Tobin.
Thank you. Warami Nalawa. Hello and welcome to the lands of the Wallamedigal. I belong to one of the local Aboriginal families of the Darug people, the traditional custodians over this part of the country. I wish to thank the university for their acknowledgement of us and for the invitation to welcome you all here this morning. That acknowledgement is important for our people and much appreciated, particularly by our elders. Knowledge meant survival in the old days, so education was important for us as well. And our elders are traditionally accorded great respect for their accumulated wisdom and experience. My family descend from Yarramundi, a respected elder and cleverman of the Burrabrongal clan during the early years of colonisation. He saw that our survival in this new world could best be secured if we could learn more about it. As such, he enrolled his daughter Maria into the Native Institution, a school set up by Governor Macquarie himself in 1815, offering formal education to Aboriginal children. Maria studied there for several years and used her newly acquired skills to lobby and ultimately secure some land for herself and her family out along the Richmond Road. Other Aboriginal families soon joined them and it became known as the Blackstown, where the present-day city of Blacktown gets its name from. We are very proud of her, as I'm sure your families are of you here today. And with good reason. For your progress progresses us all. Your advancement is our advancement. Now that was perhaps more readily understood in traditional times when clan groups were smaller and they abided by the strict sharing laws, which meant that the food that you caught and brought back in from your day's activities was distributed throughout the rest of the camp. Your skills and good fortune were thus enjoyed by all, and your efforts literally nourished the whole community. You in turn were looked after by them. Yes, we can live quite beautifully when we get clever about it. Our Aboriginal ancestors certainly did in many respects, and I use occasions like today, and especially for graduations, to remind us on how good our lives can be. I use our ancestors as a benchmark or a model on our lives. You see, when Captain Cook arrived a little over 200 years ago, he described the people he encountered at Botany Bay as one of the happiest people he had met in the world. They had nothing, he wrote, but the tools that they carried. They made shelters from the bark of trees without cutting them down and harvested food from the land without tilling the earth. In traditional times, everyone was accorded rights to the country or clan area where he or she was born into. So there was no homelessness and no rich and poor either. Everyone had pretty much the same amount of gear, what you could carry. There were no armies or jails or even police. We have no history of slavery or empire building, no kings. People cooperated to collect the resources which were needed and then they were shared out according to strict Aboriginal law. Our lands were maintained in their natural state with rivers clean and unpolluted, having people drunk out of them for the past 20,000 years here. So this is not an ideal, this was normal life. And there is no reason why we should expect less for ourselves and our children than what our ancestors enjoyed. So I would say expect great things, people, and do great things. And we can get this country back to a just and equitable place again. There's much magic in the world, I believe, and I think if we use our skills and share them, we'll have a future that's worthy of our children. We can all do our bit. Now I'll wind up, do mine by getting off and letting you people graduate. Just want to say congratulations to you and your families, and all the best in our collective futures. Thank you. Welcome to country.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the Chancellor of Macquarie University, the Honourable Michael Egan AO. Chancellor.
Thank you, Chris Tobin, for your welcome to country. Well, graduands, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I see, as usual, we have a few tiny tots and a couple of babies in the audience today, and they're especially welcome. But one thing is certain, that during a fairly long graduation ceremony, babies and little children will make a noise, they might even cry. Please don't feel embarrassed if they do, and please don't take them outside. We want you to stay where you are. We've all heard babies cry before. It doesn't bother us. In fact, we know from experience that if a baby cries through a graduation ceremony, they're generally back within 25 years to take out their first PhD. So it's a very, very good sign. Well, it's my very great privilege today as Chancellor of Macquarie University to preside at this very important ceremony. And it is an important ceremony. It's important for the university as well as our graduands and their families and friends. But let me first welcome our graduands, and I hope that today will be a very happy and a very memorable occasion for all of you. Now, you'll only enjoy the day if you sit back and relax, and some of you look relaxed, but some of you look very nervous. Now, there's no need to be nervous, nothing can go wrong. You've already passed your exams, or at least I'm told you have. The very worst thing that can happen is that this thing falls off when you walk up here, or as often, well, not often, as sometimes happen, particularly with the young ladies, they fall out of their shoes. Well, that's fine. That's why all these people are here, to pick you up if you fall over, and we send you on your way. So just relax and make sure that you do enjoy your graduation day, because you deserve to take pride, great pride, in your graduation. Completing a degree is never easy. You need an intelligent and inquiring mind. You need determination and perseverance, and you need to make many sacrifices. So welcome and congratulations to each and every one of you. Today I also want to welcome, and especially welcome, those of you who are sitting behind or to the side of our graduands as their invited guests. Because if you think about it for a moment or two, you've all obviously done very well also. The very fact that you're here, the fact that you've been invited by one of our graduands to share one of the great days of their lives is proof positive that you've been very important in their lives and in the successes that we celebrate today. So mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, cousins, sons and daughters, grandmothers and grandfathers, friends, husbands and wives, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, lovers, or whatever you are, congratulations, and thank you for celebrating this great occasion with us. And I don't want you to think either that observing today's graduation is the end of your role, because I have another very important service for you to perform for our newest graduates, as they will soon become. I want you to make sure that the degrees they receive today are never, ever, ever put in a bottom drawer, but are always proudly displayed in a position of prominence. In other words, if our graduands are too shy to proclaim their success, you make sure that you do it for them. Now, the ceremony that we're about to participate in is one of the world's oldest social rituals. For centuries, graduates have been donning robes just like the ones our graduands are wearing today, and participating in ceremonies just like this one. Indeed, there are some 50 universities in the world which can trace their history back more than 500 years. Now, graduands, I hope it won't come as a surprise to you to realise that Macquarie University is not one of those 50 universities. We're relatively young by comparison. We're only 50 years of age, and 50 years of age this year. We now have graduates living in more than 140 countries, and in April, in our April graduation series, we will celebrate our 150,000th Macquarie graduate. Macquarie is a very modern and outward-looking university. We're regarded as one of Australia's leading research universities and are currently extending our research as we are our course offerings and facilities. We're always trying to engage with the world around us. We've forged strong alliances with the community and with industry and are keen to establish more. On your way here today, you may have seen our relatively new Macquarie University Hospital. It's only been open for a couple of years, which, as well as being used for its primary purpose of treating sick people, is also used by the students and the academic and professional staff in our School of Advanced Medicine. And it's a very good hospital. We're the only university in Australia with its own private hospital. A number of universities in the United States have them, but we're the only one here. And I can tell you from experience, it is a good hospital. I spent 3 nights there towards the end of last year, and you get very good care, especially if you're the Chancellor. So I can recommend it to you. You might also have seen our new library, which provides a 21st century learning and research environment, and our new Advanced Hearing Hub, which was opened last year, and which is a world-leading institute dedicated to advances in hearing, speech and language science. So we're looking forward, and we're on the move. We want Macquarie always to be a leader in teaching and learning, and a leader in the accumulation of knowledge and understanding. In other words, an ideal community of scholars. And graduands, in just a few minutes, it will be my very great honour to confer your degrees upon you and welcome you as lifelong members of that community of scholars we proudly call Macquarie University. Thank you.
Chancellor, I call on Mr. Daniel Rose, who is graduating today with a Bachelor of Actuarial Studies with the degree of Bachelor of Economics, to speak on behalf of the graduating group. Mr. Rose.
Chancellor, members of the University, fellow graduands, and very proud guests, it is with great honour that I stand here today speaking on behalf of my fellow business and economics graduands. I could simply not refuse an opportunity to speak at such a prestigious occasion. I would firstly like to thank the Executive Dean for having the confidence to place an actuarial graduate in front of the microphone. I'll do my best to show that we do not conform to the stereotype. Today is an important milestone for all of us graduates. For many, it represents the end of our time as students, the end of our formal education, the end of an era. Looking back, it's hard to believe that I've spent the last 17 years of my life as a student. Under each cap and gown today, there is a personal journey. Journeys that include hardship, triumph, and no doubt sacrifices. Some of us will be continuing with further postgraduate studies, some will be pursuing further professional qualifications, and many have or will soon be entering the exciting yet daunting realm of full-time work. For all, today is a time to celebrate this journey, but for many, it is also a time of sadness as we say goodbye to this leafy green campus that many have called home. For me, university has meant much more than the degree with which I will be conferred today. Through the opportunities I've been given here at Macquarie, both extracurricular and employment, I have gained skills, experiences, and friendships far beyond what I imagined was possible when I started. Of course, we could not have achieved what we have without the support of our lecturers and academic staff, people who have inspired us to achieve both inside and outside of the academic sphere. I would particularly like to thank the lecturers and staff of the Actuarial Studies Department for their enthusiasm, passion, and willingness to keep their doorways open to us. At this point, I would like to say thank you to all the family and friends who have supported and guided us in reaching this day. The university lifestyle has certainly kept us busy, whether it be the late nights studying or even the late nights partying for that matter, and we certainly thank you for accommodating and being there for us whenever we've needed it. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us in saying that without your continuous support, we could simply not have achieved this milestone today. Personally, I would like to thank my mum and dad and extended family for always supporting me in the endeavours I've undertaken, and to Yishu and Alex for your influence and guidance over the last 3 years. To my fellow actuarial graduates, those here now and graduating later today, well, we've finally made it. 4 tough years together, analysing life tables, building spreadsheets, the crux of our work, but our memories go far beyond that. Memories of the great times we had together in our student society, even of the nights before an exam, helping each other over Facebook, all show the strength of the bond we have forged here together. Although it's not over yet, take today to remember how much we've achieved so far. It has been a pleasure being a part of this cohort, and let's not forget the class of 2013 as we continue down our own paths. 2014 is certainly an exciting time to be a business and economics graduate. Over 6 years have passed since the beginnings of what we in Australia call the global financial crisis, the Great Recession in most other parts of the world. And still we face a global environment of uncertainty and instability. No doubt we are eager to solve the world's problems, equipped with the latest set of theories and some fresh eyes. But if only the world behaved in the way our economic and statistical models depicted it, it would just be so much simpler. Nevertheless, as Macquarie graduates, we all have the skills and intelligence to make a positive contribution to our fields. No matter how large or small, if we put our minds to it, we can make a difference. The field of business and economics can be such that it is easy for us to lose sight of the bigger picture in life. So as we begin and progress our careers, don't forget the hard work it has taken to reach this day and the people who have made it possible. Don't lose sight of where you've come from or of what is truly important in life. Congratulations to everyone for reaching this milestone. Best of luck in your future endeavours. Thank you and good morning.
Well spoken, Daniel, and congratulations on your joint degrees, Bachelor of Actuarial Studies with the Bachelor of Economics. I was intrigued when you referred to this stereotype of an actuary. I'm not quite sure what that is. I've always actually had a very positive view of actuaries because the very first one I ever met was Professor Alf Pollard, who I think was the foundation professor of actuarial studies here at Macquarie University. And I think I'm right in saying that Macquarie was the first university to actually establish an actuarial studies course, and that's something we're very proud of. So congratulations. I hope you maintain a long association with Macquarie, and congratulations to Mum and Dad too. Well, ladies and gentlemen and graduands, we now come to the key part of today's ceremony, the reason that we're here, and that's the conferring of degrees. But it is the part of the ceremony that makes me a bit nervous because I'm told that if I confer a degree on someone who's not eligible to receive it, there's nothing I can do to take it back. So I need to make absolutely certain that you're all entitled to graduate today. So for that reason, I'm going to call upon the Deputy Registrar, the Right Honourable Jonathan Wiley, to give me an absolute ironclad guarantee that none of you ever missed a lecture, that none of you were ever late in submitting an assignment and are otherwise eligible to graduate today. Jonathan, can you give me that guarantee, please?
Chancellor, I certify that all candidates presented here today and those who are absent have satisfied the requirements of the Academic Senate for the degrees they are to be awarded. Would all candidates for admission to degrees please stand?
Graduands, in the name of the Council of Macquarie University and by my authority as Chancellor, I admit each of you present and those who are absent to the degrees for which you have qualified. Graduates, congratulations.
Please be seated. Chancellor, the graduates at this ceremony are from the Faculty of Business and Economics. This is the largest faculty at Macquarie University and one of the largest within Australia. A broad range of programs in some of the most exciting and topical areas of business and economics are offered, which continue to be in high demand both domestically and internationally. Graduates have recorded employment levels and starting salaries well above the average for all Australian business schools. Research in this faculty is cutting edge and innovative, feeding into teaching to give students the best possible learning experience. The faculty includes research and study areas in accounting, actuarial studies, applied finance, economics, management and marketing. Chancellor, I now call on Professor Philomena Leung, Head of the Department of Accounting and Corporate Governance in the Faculty of Business and Economics, to present the graduates. Professor Leung.
Chancellor, I present to you the graduates from the Faculty of Business and Economics whom you have admitted to degrees. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Applied Finance, David Jeremy Bird. Michael Blair Cunningham. Michael William Dale. Morgan James Ellis. Daniel James Glayland. Ki Yan Zhang. Jay Kwong. Robert Cal Conant. Nicholas Lafleur. Wayne Lang. Madalena Milton Surek. Mark Christopher Rothland. Christopher Shaw. David Bruce Williams. I present a graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Actuarial Studies with the Bachelor of Economics, Daniel Rose, who has been awarded the Vice Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. I present a graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Actuarial Studies with the Bachelor of Science, Po Jen Tian. I present the graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Actuarial Studies, Shailen Manokshak. Crystal Ng. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Commerce Accounting, Nafasa Rafioin. Simon Reynolds. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Commerce Actuarial Studies, Patrick Villanueva. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Commerce Professional Accounting, Sunrek Patel. James Fu. Paul Pratt. Jocelyn Jean Rosales. Laura Savage. Michael Shai. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance with the Bachelor of Economics, Jivas Pawar. Michael Perrin. James Rankin. Sanot Retna Wanada. Ilka Tuscan. Victor Trang. Michelle Vanessa. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Actuarial Studies, Eng Kwong Ko. Shi Xuan King. Mei Chi Lee. Ka Chi Lim. Tan No. Albert Nathaniel. Fei Wang Ng. Pei Le Ng. Yuan Shang Ng. Xu Zhaoshong. Wei Chong-su, who has been awarded the Vice Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Yi Shen. Chai Bun Tang. Jeremy Sin Hao Tang. Shi Ling Tang. Midua Tang. Fang Yun Wong. Joanne Yap. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Applied Finance, Byonjun Pak. Sang Byung Park. Alexander Gerald Rainbow. Andrew Shea. Qi Sun. Xiu Li Tang. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Zhao Qi Ma. Thank you. Morgan James Mackey. Maria Krista McAdonis. Veni Manoharan. Joshua Andrew Michelle Phillips. Nathan Louis Martin. Nicholas Martinez. Chloe Muscat. Samuel Alexander Macaulay. Leandra Bethany McDonald. Katrina Mendoza. Angela Militovic. Constance Miliatis. Mohammed Aviv Issa Mohammed Sharin Issa. Jordan Leo Burgess Montgomery. Stephen Moore. John Kachan Mui. Daniel Mullins. Thomas Monroe. Ashley Edward Merrill. Sean Robert Nadashan. Janet Nahas. Sonia Naidu. Chanel Shivani Narayan. Raymond Nassersian. An Teng Ng. Yuan Mang Ng. Amanda Nguyen. Julie Nguyen. Kim Chi Nguyen. Thi Truc Phong Nguyen. Nobel. Courtney Noble. Tri Hundia Nugrava. Timothy Michael O'Dwyer. Patrick Owens. Christopher Palmer. Xiao Peng. Nicholas Pandozis. Millie Patterson. Liam Poloski. Melissa Louise Payne. Emily Elizabeth Pearson. Nakul Sanjay Peknika. Yao Peng. Alicia Michelle Perkins. Kylie Pham. Mark Poole. Nicole Paris. Josephine Princi. Lucia Emily Montred Pritchard. Astrid Rosemary Proyer. Vidran Prostan. Jessica Ann Polgar. Diyong Chiu. Natasha Reyna. Nikhil Ramraha. Matthew Leon Rehayam. Wada Rang. Hugh Angus Robertson. Salisi Alan Roma. Jessica Lee Rowe. Lauren Ryan. Jerry Leandro Salasha, sorry. Begapati Sapkota. Daniel Sayers. Rinaldo Paul Scarano. Diane Sanchi. Ashlyn Katika Sharma. Angela Sidra. Karona Singh. Resmi Devi Singh. April Skinner. Nikki Jade Smith. Liliana Soos. Sheena Singh Sundu. Kenari Sukinakara. 肖延生、Jana Suslik、Michelle Tedros、Rado Yonathan Tendra、Christopher Benjamin Tanujaja、Brigitte Monica Tanujaja、Joanne Ye Joan Thum、Cal Diedick、Wendy Thomas、Amelia Louise Todd、Jenny Dang Trang、Anthony Tring、Lockton Nikki Chung、James Pierre Gilbert Vacha、Luke Joseph Aducci、Adudo Nugura Rihanna、Kirsten Val、I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Commerce Professional Accounting, Thi Thuk Tram Mac. Gordon John Hamilton MacArthur. Nabil Mahmood. Chunkit Matthew Mann. David Ma. Ankus Mohan. Thomas Peter Murphy. Huân Suk Na. Ka King Ng, Lý Lan Ng, Hong Kwon Nguyen, Liam Nolan, Xiao Xinpeng, Blake Lachlan Patterson, Abby Jennifer Pin, Damien Mark Player, Shan Shan Chiu, David Rapik, David Gregory Russell, Muhammad Yasu Ali Saka, Frank Skuchimara, A.M. Sharia, Shini Sharma, Taha Mohammed Sowat, Hahika Saraja, Huan Suk Sun, Ying Song, Saraya Saramanan, Andrew David Stewart, Stephen Chong Shi Chu, Bi Chen Tang, Bi Ting Pui Ting Joanne Tang, Nicholas Ajadi. Trang Bích Na. Kwon Chuk Ho Trang. Sabino Travato. Stephanie Janice Tucker. Joshua Tui. Hao Weng. Chancellor, that completes this morning's presentation of the graduates from the Faculty of Business and Economics.
Well, would you like that? I thought you might. That beautiful voice, ladies and gentlemen, belongs to Angela Brewer, and you're very lucky because on the occasions when Angela can't come to a graduation, I do the singing. And I'm not quite as good as Angela. Would you like to hear her sing just a little bit more? Okay, all you have to do is enrol in another degree, and when you come back, I promise you, Angela will be here. Well, graduates and ladies and gentlemen, it's now my great pleasure to introduce our occasional speaker, Professor Bob Miller, AM. During 15 years as Marketing Chief at Toyota Australia, Bob contributed greatly to Toyota's rise to market leadership in Australia. His successful theme, Oh What a Feeling, is now 20 years running. The marketing industry has recognised Bob Miller's services on many occasions. In 1993, the Australian Marketing Institute awarded Bob its coveted Sir Charles McGrath Medal as the Marketing Executive of the Year. And the following year, Marketing magazine declared Bob its inaugural Marketer of the Decade. As 3 times President of the Association of Australian National Advertisers, Bob was instrumental in changing forever the structure of advertising in Australia. In 2010, the Association of Australian National Advertisers honoured Bob with its first Phil J. Warner Award for Lifetime Achievement and contributions to the Australian advertising industry. I'm pleased to say that Bob is now in his 14th year as Adjunct Professor at Macquarie University, lecturing in Marketing Communications. He's also a member of the Faculty of Business and Economics Dean's Industry Advisory Committee. Bob is a Director of the Spastic Centre of New South Wales and a member of the Board of Governors of the Heart Research Institute. Last year, Bob was named as a member of the Order of Australia for his significant service to the community, particularly through his work with people with cerebral palsy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Bob Miller, AM.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor. It's a very great privilege, of course, and honour for me to be here on such an important day in your lives. You will find it difficult to believe that I once sat in a similar position about 100 years ago, and the ceremony's pretty much the same. And that's encouraging. I think it's nice to have traditions at a time when everything seems to be changing about us. I joined the motor industry in the 60s, as they call them, the swinging 60s. Some people say if you can remember the 60s, you probably weren't there. But I joined the motor industry straight out of university, and I joined a Ford Motor Company, and it was unimaginable to me that the world would change to the degree it has today, to where Ford no longer makes motor vehicles, or will soon no longer make motor vehicles here, that the great General Motors would not be the great General Motors anymore, and that only yesterday the President of Toyota Motor Corporation came to Australia to personally apologise and close the future of manufacturing of cars in this great country. So a whole industry and all the associated providers to that industry have or will soon go away. They won't be here anymore. And to me, as you can imagine, sitting here as a recent graduate, maybe half a century ago, that such a thing was unimaginable. And so, we come to your future. What will become of you? Who can tell? Well, I guess we can only look down the road a little way, maybe 10 or 20 years, and we look into our crystal ball. Now, my crystal ball, as those of you who might have endured my lectures will know, I do tend to focus on certain books that I have come to have a regard for. And there's a book you might like to download, of course, the digital version, called Average is Over. It's by an American economist, quite well regarded chap with a number of good books under his name. You might care to look at those too sometime. A guy named Tyler Cowen. So Tyler Cowen has written a book called Average is Over. And of course it's American. It's about powering America beyond the age of the great stagnation. And as you know, the banking industry managed to bring stagnation upon the greatest economy in the history of the world back in 2008, not that long ago, and just before, I guess, many of you started studying for your degree. And we're only just looking like coming out of that set of circumstances that the industry created for us. So I wonder what we should focus on today. And I would think that, for a start, as graduates of the business and economics faculty, that we'd look at the business environment in which you might operate and hope to prosper for the next 20 years. So, one thing you're going to have to be, it appears, given the recent economic circumstances just bearing fruit in Australia, is demonstrably, measurably self-motivated. So that's what I want to focus on today. You already have proven that you're motivated, highly motivated, and you're very persuasive. You've convinced your various lecturers and teachers and tutors to agree with your points of view on the various topics that you've written upon, and so you're successful negotiators. And now you're about to embark on a world where negotiation will be very much a part of your upward mobility process, because I'm sure there are not too many people here who, having gone to some trouble to gain a degree at Macquarie University, are planning on being failures. Hands up all the failures here. Not many of you, is there? No. So you're not planning on being a failure, you're planning on being a success. So I guess my task today, in the few minutes we have together, I guess they won't let me give you a 1-hour lecture today, which is more the shame, unless you all vote to have one. No, perhaps not. I think what we have to be aware of is the way, it's almost a cliche these days, that the miracle of computing is changing the world around us. And so in a world of accelerating computer power, where the calculations done by computers today that we've relied upon to get through our degree will look like child's play in just a few years' time as the processes of light-based computing take over and everything accelerates beyond our current ability to comprehend it. So computing power will start to replace many careers in the society that we take for granted. Just as I took for granted half a century ago that there would always be a Ford or a General Motors or, as it turned out, a Toyota or a Nissan or a Mitsubishi, giant corporations from around the world providing jobs here for us to build a career upon, to have a family, to put our children through universities. Don't worry, parents, I have every sympathy for you. I put 4 children through university and I'm still trying to figure out how to pay for it. So they promised they'd pay me back, but you know how it is. Somehow it never seems to work out quite that way. Anyway, so not that long ago, blacksmiths had been part of the social fabric for thousands of years. People couldn't get by without somebody to work metal for them, and then one day they kind of went away. We still have blacksmiths, but they're a very minor part of the social fabric, whereas over 100 years ago they were a major part of the social fabric. You couldn't run the place without them. So they've been replaced by technology, and so will many aspects now of businesses, industries that we take for granted. The law, accounting, sorry, all the accounting guys here, but you know, the accounting, actuarial activity, all of it will be supplemented as it is now, and then gradually, probably in the way that we understand the business of applying brain power to the problems that challenge lawyers, accountants, actuaries, etc., engineers. So computing power will overtake the processes that we take for granted today. Now, I tell you that as I remind you for now the 4th time that it was incomprehensible that there would be no motor manufacturing industry in Australia when I came to retirement age. And just as I came to retirement age, guess what? They pulled the pin and they're gone. So what that means is you've got to be ready to manage the change. Manage the change. And you've got to be ready to do that now, because there's no opportunity for you to wait to see what happens. You are here as graduates of one of the great universities of this country, and that means that you have to seize the future now. Not one day, not even next year, now. And so, in wondering what will become of me now that I've been through the graduation process, now that I have my degree, and now I'm planning on my next degree, or whatever it is you're planning to do, get a job, have a career, marry, start a family, buy a house. There's a little challenge for you in Sydney, buy a house, right? So you have to understand that unlike my generation, where we had plenty of time, and as a matter of fact, we had plenty of jobs to choose from, it's not going to be that easy for you. I'm sure some of you have already discovered that. But how do we overcome this challenge? This is not something we should be distressed about. This is something that you, as leaders of this society, because you're not the followers here, you've been brought up for the last 4 or 5 or whatever years to be leaders, and leaders are expected to do one thing. What's that? Lead. And so I congratulate you on your new role. You're now not an undergraduate, you're not a graduate, you are a leader from this morning on. And leaders need to lead. So if you find that there's no job to your liking available, or these jobs have simply disappeared, as they have all over Australia only this morning, in an industry that you enjoy or perhaps respect, then you'll need to create your own job. And so you can be taught entrepreneurial skills, and in fact this faculty does teach entrepreneurial skills, but nevertheless you are going to need to develop, if you're going to be a success, your own entrepreneurial skills. You're going to need one way or another to think clearly about developing your ability to create your own job. It's not a matter of getting a job with someone else, it's a matter of creating your own job. Now, you may also get a job with someone else, and that will be terrific, because then you're going to have 2 incomes, right? The one they give you and the one you get for yourself. So you're going to have to think about starting your own business. There's no point waiting around for the government to figure out how to sort of look after you and reward you and compensate you for all the dreadful things that occur to you in life. No, you're going to have to look after yourself. You may have to create your own market category, a completely new market category. Only self-motivated people will succeed in all this. Now, this is not a new concept, but for your generation, it's going to become obsessively compulsive. Governments of all colours are really only going to be obstacles, because they are slow, but the environment is fast, and you must be fast. So you cannot deal with slow organisations. You have to overcome the obstacles that they put in your way. Now, this might have been different for previous generations, but it's certainly the way it's going to be for yours, because governments and their bureaucracies are managed by old people. I can say that because I am an old person, so that's okay, isn't it? No offence to the old people. But the problem with old people today is that they have old ideas, they have old concepts, they have old context, and little understanding of the pace and power of computing. Okay, and computing evolving at spectacular speed. So if you are the future and the future's time is right now, then your generation of graduates does not have time to hope that governments, bureaucracies, associations of elders, etc., can manage much more than providing some crude infrastructure and maybe a few social pleasantries. The self-motivated will find it easier to succeed, however, than ever before. There will be a new tier of people from poor or underprivileged backgrounds who will claw their way to the top. But this will only apply where those segments of the population with the appropriate skills and values, namely self-motivation and the ability to complement the new technologies, exist. Now, above all, of course, this is not the end of your education. This is merely another step along a very long lifetime path. You will need to become masters of re-education. Masters. So, I'm here to say to you that re-education in intense bursts of energy. You don't have to be going to school all the time, you don't have to be studying all the time, but you do need to recreate yourself so that you can manage the spectacularly changing commercial environment for your benefit, for your social upward mobility, okay, in a way that you can enjoy. You're supposed to have fun, right? I mean, hell, being an actuary is fun, isn't it? Hell, Dan, go on. Of course it is. Try not to sob in front of the audience, right? So you're going to have to re-educate yourself in intense bursts of energy and demonstrate to others that you are highly self-motivated. Highly self-motivated. Okay. So I would conclude by leaving you with this one thought. And this is pretty much a direct take from my friend Mr. Cohen's book, but I think he's about right. I've got 4 children now in their late 30s, early 40s, and this is their future as I see it, because I'm watching them evolve daily now. The wealthy class will be increasingly self-motivated. It will be larger than it is today over time, and precisely because we're selecting ever more for self-motivation, it will have increasing influence. It is their values that will shape public discourse, and that will mean more stress on the ideas of personal motivation and self-motivation. The measure of self-motivation in a young person will become the best way to create or predict upward mobility. And good luck with that. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you, Bob, for that very good advice. It is important to be ready to manage change. Don't be taken by surprise with it, because it will happen constantly throughout your life. I was a bit distressed almost when Bob talked about being old, because I must be as old as him, because I can remember the blacksmith as being a feature of almost every suburb in Sydney. I used to walk past the blacksmith on my way to the railway station on my way home from school every day. And for the life of me, I can't imagine what in the 1960s blacksmiths were still doing in the suburbs of Sydney, but they seemed to be busy, and of course they've gone by the way. So Bob, thank you very much, not only for being such an important part of today's ceremony, but also thank you very much for the great work that you have been doing for Macquarie University for many years now. Ladies and gentlemen, please join with me in thanking Bob once again. Well, graduates, this ceremony marks the end of one stage in your relationship with Macquarie University, but it's certainly not the end of your association with Macquarie. From today on, for the rest of your lives, you are part of the bigger Macquarie family, which is our alumni, and part of the network of Macquarie alumni, which now spans the globe. We'll keep in touch with you through our alumni program, which is focused on lifelong learning, lifelong support, and lifelong connections. Our commitment to you is to help you keep in touch and engaged with Macquarie throughout your life. And please, graduates, do make sure that you come back to Macquarie, either to undertake more study, to to attend alumni events, perhaps use our aquatic and fitness facilities, or even, if the mood takes you, come back with some friends and enjoy a picnic down by our lake. Well, now, graduates, the award of a university degree carries many opportunities and privileges. But like all privileges, it also carries responsibilities. Believe it or not, you, each and every one of you, can change the world. And you don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner to do it either, because almost everything you do in your homes and in your workplaces and in your communities matters and can make a huge difference. The consequences of every effort, every action, large or small, can reverberate throughout society through the decades, indeed the centuries. Even something as simple as a kind word or a kind gesture can often be the spark that ignites a great life or a great career or a great achievement. So as Chancellor of Macquarie University, I charge you to use what you have learned not only for your own benefit, but also for the betterment of the community. I charge you to use the skills and knowledge you have acquired with rigour and integrity, and commit yourselves to a program of lifelong learning and inquiry. I charge you to recognise the worth and dignity of all people, particularly those who have not had the opportunities that you have enjoyed. I charge you to set high goals and to continue the hard work that has brought you so far. I charge you, wherever you go, to go with all your heart. And in all you do, I charge you to uphold the good name of Macquarie University. Now, graduates, I hope also that you'll always remember the people who have helped you along the way, many of whom, of course, are here with you today. So to acknowledge their contribution and thank them for it, I'm now going to ask you to do a couple of things. Graduates, would you please now stand? And would you turn to face your family and friends? You might just put your degrees on the seats behind you too, so that your hands are free. And now I'd like you to give them a mighty round of applause. Now, graduates, you can turn around, but don't sit down because we'll be leaving in just a moment. Here on the dais also are representatives of our academic staff who have supported you throughout your journey, and I'm sure you'd like to thank them as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the official party will now leave the graduation hall through the centre aisle and will be followed by excuse me, all of the graduates. I would invite you all now to please stand and to remain standing until the last of the graduates have processed out. And then I invite you to join us in the marquee overlooking the lake for some light refreshments. I'm told there are even some ice creams for the children and for people like me. Well, now, graduates, I wish you the very best for the future, and in the words of the old Irish blessing, may the road rise up to meet you, may the wind always be at your back, may the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Graduates, good luck.